I would like to take you guys a little bit on a journey on why I started the Seaweed Farmers and on what kind of projects we already did. Okay, so yeah, first things first. We are the Seaweed Farmers, creating healthy waters for a happy planet. That's a good introduction. That is sort of everything that we thrive to be. But first of all, how and when did we start? Well, Sjoerd and I founded the Seaweed Farmers at the end of 2017, actually out of pure frustration, because we both grew up along the coastline of North Holland, and we spent every second that we have left in our day on that beach. And when you spend so much time on one location, you really start to see changes uh, in that area. So, first of all, of course, you see all the marvelous things that are nature, amazing sunsets, starry nights, uh, wind, waves, everything that you want to see when you are in the dunes and on the beach. But on the other hand, you also see the impact that we human have on those areas, like plastic pollution or just polluting of the beaches and the nature reserves surrounding it. But that's not only the physical impact, it's sort of like a hidden ghost that creeped up on us a few times over the last years. And that is certain times of algae blooms that just appeared out of nowhere. And then the first thing that you see is the lifeguards hoisting up the flags that tell us that we cannot go into the water because the water quality is just so bad that you cannot even swim in it. And not only that, but then weeks after, you see tons and tons of fish just washing up on shore. And you think, we thought about that. And this is just the signs of an ecosystem in distress, which scares us a little bit. Eventually, it's not only the days that we spend on the beach during summer, but we were there all year round and we spend time in the water all year round. So we thought, what can two individuals do to help this ecosystem thrive again? And how can we create this impact with the two of us to hopefully restore something that we damaged along the way? So, for the love of nature, what can we do? Um, of course, whatever I'm telling right now, it is local. But on the other hand, the impact that we have on the bodies of water are not a problem locally; they are worldwide, and we have to deal with them everywhere on this earth. But we'd like to keep it small because we're still small. You need to start somewhere. So let's first zoom in a little bit on the Eimond. I don't know if any of you guys have visit IJmuiden or Wijk aan Zee, but it is amazing. It is an area full of contrasts. So we have our tiny farm in the harbor on the middle left side of your screen, and it is wedged in between these two big nature reserves. You can literally get lost there and see tons of birds and wildlife, and it is just beautiful. On the other hand, we have to deal with this. It is the duality in that area that still is keeping me captivated. It is on one hand industry and on one hand nature. And the pressure that has on the water is immense. So it's not only the waters that are locally here, so at the end of the port of Amsterdam, but this problem we have almost everywhere in Holland. It is the Dutch water that are under pressure from heavy industry. So on the left side you have Tata Steel, in the middle you have the build of the new sea lock, and on the right side you have IJmuiden, and all the way on the right side you have a big dock for all the cruise ships that enter IJmuiden and Amsterdam. So it is busy, and that is causing a disimbalance in the ecosystem just because of their polluting waste. But because it's busy and because there is heavy industry, that is not the actual impact maker on this water. We tested that the biggest impact comes from the inland stream of nutrient rich water. And I like to say nutrient rich because all those nutrients like phosphate, nitrate, and nitrogen are in itself not polluting, but just in large quantities, it makes sure that it creates this disimbalance or this imbalance in the ecosystem, and that is something that uh, is irreversible as long as we don't have heavy changes in the way that we, for instance, farm or transport, or well, you can name them all. And of course, as the last big factor in this area is that there is a big acidification due to the CO2 surplus in the air, but also in the water. And that, yeah, sparked a discussion between Sjoerd and I, because we were still thinking of how can we filter this out? What is a biofilter that can just make sure that all the points that I just told you guys or spoke to you about, to minimize that. And of course, as I said already before, I don't have a background in biology or science. I am an architect, and Sjoerd has a background in development. So we just started talking, and two friends of ours, they were just graduating from Wageningen University, and they told us about the biofilters of the earth, the natural biofilters. So first off, he started with oysters and mussels because they have a great way of filtering out the water. But so we thought that's amazing. I like oysters. I like mussels. Let's do this. But I don't know if you have this picture in your mind. This is just a marketing disaster happening, right? So of course we stepped off the mussels and oysters very quickly. And then next best thing, of course, is seaweed. And thus started our research, because the amazing qualities of seaweed is that it captures excess nutrients, the nutrients like nitrogen, phosphate, and nitrate. It also takes out or filters out the CO2 and enriches the water with oxygen, creating these oxygen bubbles around the farm, and that in itself stimulates biodiversity. So the stimulation of the biodiversity also has a second part to it, and that is that fish like to use it as a hotel. So they stay around, they use it to nibble on the seaweed, but also it attracts all kinds of other animals. So they hunt better. We have around our farm tiny fish, but also sea snails, anemone, what they're called, and anemone. Oh my God, Finding Nemo all over again. Yeah, those, but we also see a lot of birds. It just attracts everything. You can already see with the small farm that we have that we can actually impact within a few months already from growing the seaweed, which makes us, of course, very happy. So this is where our research started. We found our location within IJmuiden, within the harbor. And we really searched for partners who were like-minded, that were doing research about biodiversity, about creating seaweeds, about trying to build a regenerative farm. So not only growing seaweed, but giving back to nature. And with our partners where we sell our seaweed to, we wanted to make products that are contributing to this state of mind. So, of course, we started looking around IJmuiden ourselves, and we quickly found Hortimare, which is um, a company that ends, or they make the spores from the seaweed. So we started researching with them about types of seaweed that we can grow in our harbor. Here on the movie, you see our little research place. This was still one boat dock big. It was just a start. We tested out different ways of tailing, so how to cultivate the seaweed, what is the best way. We did this over a course of 2 years, where we try to find as many as systems possible, just to see what fits this place the best, and how we could work together with the harbor, with uh, the water that we have there, which is nutrient rich, and yeah, how to get the best harvest possible on a small scale. And small scale it is, because our first pilot base was 20 meters by 6 meters. Now we scaled up, but I will talk to you guys about that a little later. So here we see our basics floating system, and underneath there are different ways of hanging up the lines and growing the seaweed. We are now growing only winter wheat, so the Saccharina latissima, so the kelp, brown kelp, and during wintertime and during summertime, we are helping our partners create the products that we make from this harvest. So after a few amazing years of testing, we're ready to scale up. And the best thing is about growing seaweed in this harbor is that we do have a lot of space to scale up. So for now, we want to do it gradually. We did a crowdfunding, and it was successful. So upcoming winter, we are scaling up, and upcoming April, we are scaling up again, which is great. I'm very proud of that. And that means that we are going from 1 ton of seaweed to 11 tons of seaweed per harvest. We are still trying to get also a summer harvest going on. But yeah, upcoming summer, we're doing a lot of testing on different kind of species again. So hopefully we will get back to you guys with our success stories on that one, I hope. So what I already told you guys a little bit about enhancing the biodiversity. What we see in the harbor right now is that it is a desert. It isn't as used. Some students that did their thesis study on the canals in the port of Amsterdam found out that the fish ton, so the amount of fish in the canals and on sea was disintegrating so fast that it sort of looks like a desert at the moment. And what we found out is that the fish like to lay their eggs just on the brackish water. So that is just behind the sea lock that they are building right now. But the building of the sea lock, of course, means that they have to lock them up for long periods of time, which means that fish are looking for a safe space to lay their eggs. And what we see right now is that they are finding our farm at the moment, which is amazing. So we are actually finding all these eggs around the farm on the kelp, and which is great to see, because that means that we can actually mimic some natural banks that we don't have anymore in this area, and provide a safe space for these types of fish to yeah, to lay their eggs and grow eventually. And what that brought along was different kinds of um, other species. So a lot of mussels, a lot of oysters. We see a lot of sea snails, crabs, and shrimp around the farm, and also that attracts a weird amount of swans we have just chilling around the farm, and different types of birds, which is in our head really, really amazing to see that they found this tiny farm and that we can actually hopefully make a difference in enhancing the biodiversity and enhancing the ecosystems and water quality over a span of time when we grow and grow and grow and grow. So about the CO2 compensation, um, sort of the baseline of this is that 10 tons of wet seaweed equals 1 ton of absorbed CO2. So for now, we are still very small. And of course, we have to grow to make this impact, but we are growing and we are making this impact already on this small scale, which is great. What we haven't taken into consideration is what of what amount of CO2 we are actually compensating by using our seaweed as a natural raw material further on in its cycle. So after harvest, uh, we found some amazing partners that we're working together with at the moment to create products that are also the same as our farm, trying to be regenerative and not trying to take energy out of this earth, but actually giving back. So first up after harvest is refining. So we are working together with a little factory in the north of North Holland. It's called Danfoss, and they using the ancient old technique of fermentation to split liquids from solids in the seaweed, and uses actually the natural minerals, vitamins, and the taken out the nutrients that we actually take out of the water, like the nitrogen and phosphates, and use it as a natural biofertilizer on the land next door, because the factory is located on a big plot of land where they grow tulips, which is great. That is from Hubert's bloembollen, which is amazing. And then the proteins and the sugars from the seaweed are processed by Erik Klarenbeek and Maartje Dros. This is a designer duo located in Zaandam. And what they do is they make 3D print filaments out of it, and they make amazing art with it. And on the other hand, we have this extra material left, and that is actually the pulp, where a lot of the bad stuff still is encased into these cells. So on the left side, you see the pulp where already the proteins and the sugars and the sweet waters, minerals, and that kind of stuff, what I was talking about last slide, they're already being taken out. So this is the last part that is still left, and you can create amazing stuff from it. You can press plates out of it. You can use it as a composite and use it as a packaging material. On the right side, they just pressed a flower pot out of it, and yeah, it's super versatile. We can use it for everything that is imaginable, and I love the collective thinking of these branch partners with us, because they gave us a chance to rethink the way of not only growing materials, but also what entails this whole process. So what is our footprint of just growing the materials that we use every day? And by thinking about the regenerative idea and process about harvesting seaweed and then refining it to products that we can actually use and don't have such a big footprint on either normal plastic or normal fertilizer, we can hopefully try and get that stream of incoming nutrients from the inlands a little bit to a minimum. So we hope to finally, when we are all big and strong companies, to close a larger loop and try to make a biggest impact as possible. So here you see a little insight into the lab of Erik Klarenbeek and Maartje Dros. They made amazing objects for Design Week last year, and they are now actually making the 3D print filament from our first harvest, which is great. So hopefully in the upcoming years, as we grow, we all as a branch can grow and actually make products for a larger audience than we do right now, because everything is still very expensive, as you might think. So for us, as a little bit sort of a roundup of everything, we are the never-ending story. We started from an ideal that became a passion project for the two of us, and now is actually making strides to become bigger and better and greater, and hopefully we can grow into a sustainable company that can hold itself up. So we had a lot of downfall again last year, but yeah, the whole premise of this story is that we need to keep fighting, keep kicking, and of course we need to keep talking to each other and trusting and working together, and hopefully we can, with all the companies around the world that have this sort of regenerative idea in mind, take it over and help the climate crisis reduce or bring to a halt, hopefully. But this is our first step into the right direction, and yeah, we are really positive about the future in that case. So that was it. Thank you very much.